Hello and welcome, beautiful people. If you are new here, my name is BetSam and I'm the greatest UFC predictor in New Zealand, arguably the world. I belong to We Want Picks, and if you want to see my bets, predictions, and more, sign up to We Want Picks Premium in the link in the description of this video. Code BetSam. It's only $10 a month, and you will get 10% off with that code as well. Let's get into the full card breakdown and prediction for UFC Manel Kape versus Almabaev. Starting off, an absolute banger to open up this card. We have a flyweight power matchup here. Ramazan Temrov taking on Charles Temrov. This is an interesting matchup. I can honestly say I don't know why they put it together, because Charles Johnson's momentum here really doesn't warrant Ramazan Temrov to be making this leap. And I would have liked to have seen them build Ramazan Temrov a little bit more before taking this level of matchup. But here we are. Ramazan Temrov, a slight favorite, but it didn't open that way. If you had the line movement tracker, you would see that Charles Johnson is, he switched from being a slight favorite now to a plus 105 underdog, or $2.05 if you're like me and like that decimal number. Now, Ramazan Temrov here, the reason it switched, I believe, is because of the power. And we're going to talk into that. But I want to talk about Charles Johnson a little bit here, because he's really evolved his game. He went from losing to fighters like Muhammad Mokaev. He lost to Cody Durden. He fought Rafael Esteban. A lot of heavy pressure, hard-nosed fighters. And then one day he fought Azat Maksum and said, enough is enough. It is time to turn back the clock, turn back these people looking for my spot. And he's been putting it on, getting on a little bit of a tear. I even tried to fade Charles Johnson a little bit ago by taking Joshua Van, and he said, hell to the no. Turned away Joshua Van with a third-round finish. Beautiful stuff, really. So, energy, Charles Johnson has my respect, and I definitely see his game. His offensive and defensive wrestling have both improved dramatically, but striking is where he really does his bread and butter and gets his work done. At 5'9" at flyweight with a 70-inch reach, he's definitely one of the longer and bigger guys in there, and he knows how to use that frame in the striking department. He does get hit as well, though. You can see there his strikes landed per minute at 4.7 with the strike absorption rate at 3.6. It is a positive differential, but he's still getting hit. And we can see that the takedown accuracy there sits at 23%. I can assure you that he's not going to be looking to take down Ramazan Temrov early here, but that is something that he might explore if he starts to get hit a little too much. Now, on the other side, Ramazan Temrov, this dude here is an absolute powerhouse. For 5'4", he's giving me Haqparast vibes, because he is absolutely knocking everybody out. And I mean like out. This dude gets the finishes, he pounds away, and he hunts people down. He is able to be hit, though. And even though inside of his UFC, it's been a pretty much flawless run here, because CJ Vergara got knocked out round 1, you can find footage of Ramazan Temrov getting clipped on his entries. 18-2, high finish rate. I like Ramazan Temrov here because he does strike with that leap in, follow your footwork, not just one shot. Keep it flowing, keep it going, try to knock people out with combinations. So I'm going to take Ramazan Temrov here. I think he actually can find a knockout on Charles Johnson, because styles make fights, and Charles Johnson is used to being able to, corral people back, strike with them, defend takedowns a go. But I think Ramazan Temrov is just going to uncork combinations here and try and let the chips where they fall, and I think he's going to be the victor here. So I'm going to take Ramazan Temrov by KO. I predict it to be round 2 or 3, because I do think early on Charles Johnson's going to find some success, and then Ramazan Temrov is going to say, fuck all this technical bullshit, let's just throw down. So Ramazan Temrov is going to be my prediction, and if you want to see the action that I have on him, sign up to We Want Picks Premium in the link in the description there, and code BetSam for that one as well. Montana Delarosa versus Luana Carolina. This is a low-level fight, man, but Luana Carolina on a 3-fight win streak here. Montana Delarosa hasn't really been able to put it together. Arguably, you could say, well, if Montana Delarosa gets the takedown, she's going to be able to do what she needs to do. But everybody's been trying to take down Luana Carolina. And I'm going to keep this one nice and simple. I know a lot of people aren't going to be into this matchup here. So I'm going to go Luana Carolina. And my official prediction is she wins this fight by decision. I think she can stop enough takedowns to be able to land some strikes and win the rounds that way against Delarosa. And the other play you could take is just this fight to go the distance. I don't consider either of them particularly dangerous. Then what? Danny Silva taking on Lucas Almeida. Now, this is a fight I've got a lot to talk about, because Danny Silva here, arguably one of his best victories is against Josh Culibao, and that was a split decision. Ultimately, I do think Danny Silva was the rightful winner, so I'm not going to argue that point. But Josh Culibao isn't a guy that you should be losing to or going to close decisions to if you're expecting to go far in this sport. Danny Silva, strikes landed per minute at 8.3. Strikes absorbed at 9.4. And that is where I really, really have a problem with, because Lucas Almeida is not a guy that fights to decisions. 15-3. I believe he's 14 of his victories by finish, with only one decision win, which was his last outing against Timothy Kwamba, where he did look fantastic and he did look to finish, but Timothy Kwamba stayed tough, ate some tremendously huge shots, and then kept on coming. Lucas Almeida at plus 165 is a very, very attractive number here. I think he's got the experience edge, 34 years old. They're about the same height. A slight reach advantage here for Lucas Almeida. And he knows that he doesn't have to push Danny Silva, because Danny Silva is going to come to him. So I'm taking Lucas Almeida to win this fight by knockout. I think that Danny Silva could walk onto something here because he's just too overly ambitious. However, he does have a path to victory here with takedowns. We saw that in his last outing here. If he chooses to mix in grappling early and often here, he could disrupt the rhythm of Lucas Almeida and push this fight into the later rounds, where I would start to favor him. But my pick is going to be Lucas Almeida by knockout. Then we have Andrea Lee versus JJ Aldrich. And I'm going to tell you right now, guys, JJ Aldrich 13-7, Andrea Lee 13-10, lost her last 5. If you're betting on this fight, you're a pure degenerate. You're the type of individual that's betting on the Japanese Badminton League at 3 in the morning, and that's okay. But we're not going to waste our time with this one. Andrea Lee 0-5 in her last 5. You got to go JJ Aldrich here, just based off of, that absolute fall off. 36 years old, hasn't won a fight in years. It is what it is, I'm not going to be putting any money anywhere near this. I'm a degenerate of the highest order, but this fight is not making my bingo card. Get the hell out of there. Official prediction, JJ Aldrich by a very lackluster decision. Then we've got Douglas Silva de Andrade taking on Sexy Mexi Jean Castaneda. Jean Castaneda, just coming off of that loss to Daniel Marcos, where ultimately, it just seemed like he was a step behind in the hands there. And Douglas Silva de Andrade coming off that loss to Miles Johns, where ultimately he was just a step behind entirely. The output wasn't there. He wasn't landing the better strikes. And, the fall off there is starting to look evident for Douglas Silva de Andrade. Even though he's 39 years old and in phenomenal shape, you're not seeing the same level of output. You're not seeing the hunger that you used to see from him here. And I think that's why you have to lean towards John Castaneda. The output's going to be there, the self-belief, all the rest of it. And he has the takedown upside. Give me John Castaneda all day of the week and twice on a Sunday. I do think that Silva de Andrade is going to be able to survive, though. So give me John Castaneda to win this fight by decision. And we've got Ricardo Ramos taking on Kape Mariscal. Now, Ricardo Ramos, I'm going to tell you right now, this dude is a quitter. He has finished in almost all of his losses. He is a quitter. It is what it is. You can hate me in the comments if you're a Ramos lover or whatever. And he's not that dangerous. He's got a couple of spinning elbows, and they really looked beautiful. Yes, they did. But that's about it. He's not going to get a spinning elbow here on Kape Mariscal. And if you believe that, good luck to you. Bet it, Please put some money on Ramos. I'd love to get a better line here on Kape Mariscal. Kape Mariscal drowns people. We saw it against Damon Jackson. We saw that he was starting to break Jack Jenkins and then injured him, ultimately winning that fight. Kape Mariscal has looked great. Even his victory against Morgan Sharia. I thought Morgan Sharia won that fight, but I bet Morgan Sharia expecting him to be able to, really just outclass Kape Mariscal everywhere, and that wasn't the case. Kape makes every single fight competitive. He's an absolute workhorse. Merab Dvalishvili and him are right up there with cardio monsters. So I'm taking Kape Mariscal here. I'd like to tell you that this line is wide, but I think that he is the most obvious choice on this entire card. So minus 500 still seems about right to me. I would consider him a parlay piece. And if you want to sprinkle him a late KO or a late submission, that's something you could heed into. And before anyone tells me that he couldn't submit Ricardo Ramos, he's going to make Ricardo Ramos look so goddamn tired in there that he's going to give up at any opportunity. It doesn't matter if the submission doesn't need to be that good if your opponent is that tired. So give me Kape Mariscal to win this fight by either round 3 finish or decision. And it would be a 30-27 or 30-26 decision because he's going to drown this boy. Then we've got Danny Barlow taking on Sam Patterson. This line is very wide. Look, Danny Barlow has done nothing in this sport. He beat Josh Quinlan, so what? I predicted he was going to finish Josh Quinlan. Josh Quinlan is far too hittable, and Danny Barlow is far too athletic. Left hand to God, Danny Barlow hits hard, he hits often, and he's got good range, and he's definitely going to be able to land on Sam Patterson here. The reason I say this is wide is we have not seen him fight anybody with a ground game. At all. Nobody. Zilch. Sam Patterson does have a jiu-jitsu game here. We don't know what Danny Barlow is going to look like if Sam Patterson, tries to go for a heel hook, gets him down to any capacity, gets his back. We have no idea what Danny Barlow is going to look like in any of these positions at all. Therefore, you cannot bet Danny Barlow and say that you're an intelligent gambler. Do I think he wins this fight by round 1 knockout? Yeah, probably. But the odds are cooked on this one. I'm going to wait. I'm going to, just sip on some Kool-Aid, watch this fight. See if Danny Barlow is who we say he is. I hope that Sam Patterson does get a takedown or two. I hope we get to see if Danny Barlow is developing that aspect of his game. I like Danny Barlow. I cannot bet him at minus 300. The official prediction is going to be Danny Barlow by KO. You have been warned, though. Haider Amil taking on William Gomez. If you haven't already seen, I did release my Slam of the Week video. The Slam of the Week is William Gomez. I'm supremely confident that he gets this one done. William Gomez, a lot of people want to call him boring. I would say he is technical to a fault. He will fight the fight that you bring to him, and if you do not want to advance forward on him and really, put yourself in harm's way, I will say, then he'll win a very comfortable 30-27 decision. However, if you're Haider Amil, and you're going to come at him with everything you've got. Haider the Hurricane Amil. That's his nickname. You're going to come at William Gomez with every single thing you have. You're going to fight until your last ounce of breath leaves your body. Then William Gomez will fight you tooth and nail. We just saw him fight Joanderson Brito, and get a split decision victory there with the round 1 and round 3 going to him. I think he did win that fight. A lot of people saying I'm capping for that. I do. I think he won rounds 1 and 3. I think round 2 was obviously Brito. Is what it is. Haider Amil is going to bring the fight. William Gomez has just showcased, if you bring the fight, I've got hands ready to eat for everybody waiting for you. I'm going to take William Gomez here to win this fight by round 2 or round 3 knockout. I think that he's going to put hands on Haider Amil when Haider Amil just, blindly enters, throwing wild hooks, and William Gomez is going to be waiting for him with that too. The only way that Haider Amil wins this fight, I do believe, is with a huge shot that he lands that really changes the fight trajectory. Other than that, I don't think technique for technique he's got anything. I think the significant strike count is going to rack up on William Gomez there. And I think Gomez wins this fight either by finishing him or by unanimous decision. That is my official prediction. We have Austin Lane versus Mario Pinto. I just watched every single Austin Lane fight in slow motion. It was painful. Let me tell you, it was absolutely painful. I watched Mario Pinto's Dana White's Contender Series in slow motion. Pinto has the better hands. He absolutely has the better hands. He should be able to knock Austin Lane out on the feet. When it comes to the ground game, I trust in the athleticism of Mario Pinto to be able to get back up if he gets taken down. And I think he could also offensively get takedowns on Austin Lane if he wants as well. Austin Lane, 37 years old. He's on his way out of the sport. He's already been KO'd multiple times inside the UFC. And I think that Mario Pinto, this is a shine spot for him for sure. And at minus 370, I want to say that there's no value there. But the reality is the inside the distance prop for Mario Pinto, it makes all the sense in the world. I think he smokes Austin Lane here. Should get it done in round 1 or round 2. And, the right hook, it's open all day, baby. Nasrat Haqparast versus Esteban Ribovic. I think that Nasrat Haqparast is a pretty good point fighter. I do. I think he's a pretty good point fighter. I think he's got pretty nice hands. I don't think he's got that dog in him like Esteban Ribovic, And in a close fight here where they're both similar age, similar frames, they've been in the UFC. Obviously, Nasrat with a little bit more experience here, but Esteban arguably with some of the tougher fights, especially with that last outing there against Daniel Zellhuber. I think you got to go Esteban Ribovic here. And moreover, I think you go Esteban inside the distance because this dude is tough. And he's willing to take one to give one. And I think Nasrat isn't. I think Nasrat really wants a pretty fight. And when it's not pretty, he's open to getting hit. Jared Gordon was landing on Nasrat Haqparast a lot. I think Esteban Ribovic can absolutely emulate some of the success that Jared Gordon was having, but with a much higher impact on the strikes. So give me Esteban Ribovic to win this fight inside the distance. We're already on to the co-main event here. We have Cody Brundage versus Julian Marquez, the Cuban Missile Crisis. I believe he's taken the name now. Julian Marquez sucks. He sucks. At this point in his career, anybody that's picking Julian Marquez at favorite money in this matchup here, you are wild now. And guess what? Cody Brundage is Jacob from We Want Picks Lock of the Week. And watching that video, Jacob, if you watch this, I was gassed up, man. I was gassed up watching that video. I've never been so hyped for a Cody Brundage fight in my life because this is so winnable for him. He's right. He is the better fighter. I think that if he turns up here and just is an absolute ning-nong, he should be able to beat Julian Marquez here. I'm going to go Cody Brundage here to win this fight inside of 2 rounds. He's the better athlete. If he turns up and just fights his fight, he should be able to knock Julian Marquez out, submit him, ground and pound him. I think he could do whatever the hell he wants. Julian Marquez has got 1 foot out the door already. I don't know why this is the co-main event here, but I think we see a finish either way. And so if you're not a Cody Brundage believer, just bet this fight not to go the distance. Sit back, eat some popcorn, and enjoy the fireworks. Main event time. Manel Kape versus Asu Almabaev. I kind of wish this fight wasn't happening because I want to see both guys succeed, right? Arguably, Manel Kape winning this fight is better for the division because you have a very clear-cut contender. You get Manel Kape versus the winner of Haqparast versus Pantoja. It's a beautiful fight to see, on either front. We get Haqparast beating Pantoja, absolute banger. We already wanted to see Haqparast versus Manel Kape, so that's great. On the flip side, Manel Kape versus Pantoja, also a beautiful matchup. But if Asu Almabaev is to win this fight in a lackluster fashion, he doesn't go out there and finish Manel Kape or anything like that, I don't know that he does just jump and get the title shot because he's still kind of far back on the division. I don't know if he steals the hype if he wins, a kind of back and forth decision. However, Asu Almabaev has quietly been working his way up here. His striking is better than people give him credit for, and his takedowns are very good. His control time also is very good. He will shoot once and shoot again. He will reshoot. He will go for takedowns. His cardio is good. Even though you haven't seen him, fighting these tough 5-round fights, I do believe his cardio will absolutely be there. It's never looked like it's fading before. I don't know why it would now. Asu Almabaev at plus 175 here. I do think the value is on him because of that wrestling upside. However, Manel Kape just looked amazing in his last outing, but it was against Bruno Silva. And I'll tell you right now, Asu Almabaev would have beaten Bruno Silva, but for different reasons. Manel Kape, he is a striker that dances around the outside. He has beautiful reflexes, and if his takedown defense holds up, it's going to be hell for anybody that fights him. In this matchup here, I think that Asu Almabaev has to get takedowns, whereas Manel Kape here, he's just got to be himself here. I understand why he's the favorite, but I'm going to say the value is on Asu Almabaev. Official prediction, I'm going to give you 2 options here. I think either Manel Kape does stop the takedowns and does find a finish later on in the fight here, because once Asu Almabaev gets stuck in a striking match here, I think it's going to be Manel Kape steamrolling. But if Asu Almabaev is able to get even just a couple of takedowns early, we could see Manel Kape freeze up and Asu Almabaev start to take over in there. I'm going to lean ever so slightly to Manel Kape, but I am going to be placing a bet on Asu Almabaev. Guys, that is the official full card breakdown. If you want to see where I'm placing my bets, and that's going to be coming out real soon, sign up to We Want Picks Premium using my code in the link in the description and use code BetSam, 10% off. I will see you all at the cash counter. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate each and every single one of you.